Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Serah Gaming here, and today we're gonna go through the rework and changes for the upcoming BT character, which is gonna be Snow and Emperor. I'm gonna leave Lise and Baltier for later, but today we're also gonna be discussing about the upcoming event, which is the 6 Warrior Quest. But before we get into that, if you like my content today, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like the video. It does help the channel. And if you want to further support my channel, you can join my membership, which I recently set up to enjoy some additional perks and benefit. Alright, so without further ado, we will be starting with Emperor. Emperor does get a lot of rework. I mean, considering the fact that he wasn't that good during his first BT release. Right now, his skill 1 does a 3 single target HP attack, and the trap from his skill 1, which is the fire trap that goes off single target, does 2 single target HP attack right now, so extra HP dump. His skill 2 does a 2 split AoE HP attack, and the trap from his skill 2 now does a 2 single target HP attack with 50% splash. His LD also get an improvement right now with 4 single target HP attack with 50% splash, as well as improving the LD buff, which half of it provided the fact that he's targeting debuff enemy. So it now provides him a 60% brave damage up and 40% HP damage up. He also now has an upgrade on his EX, obviously, for the Crystal Level 90. It does a 3 split AoE HP attack, and it's an instant turn skill right now, which is really good, because considering the fact that he always wanted to have his his trap on when he gets his turn, so that he could use his HP attack to trigger all those traps. So right now, with the EX being instant turn, it's a lot easier for Emperor himself to trigger those traps without having to rely on turn manipulators. So the trap from his EX obviously is going to land all 3 traps, but the last trap, which I haven't talked about, it's going to be the trap where it does delay the entire enemy. It is a 2 split AoE HP attack, and it's now a ignore defense attack. I'm not really sure whether or not it's a ignore defense attack previously, but right now, yes, it is. So if it's not, then great, a good upgrade here. But if it is, then just one more additional HP dump. But with each additional HP dump from his trap, meaning that when Emperor triggers using his HP attack, it's gonna trigger 3 HP dumps for each enemy every time he uses that skill itself. So I would say that even though it does look quite minimal for that all this upgrade, like he only get 2 HP dumps for his skill 1 and extra 1 HP dumps for his skill 2, and of course a little bit more for his LD, but on paper it doesn't look a lot because, like I said before, he's not a character that relies on his skill 1 or skill 2 to do damage. All his damage mainly comes from his trap, and unlike trap attackers, he's actually a unit that wants to get his own turn so that he can trigger the trap manually without having the trap expiring from the enemy's turn. So Emperors, of course, also get his additional ability, which is now providing a 60% self-attack up, a 20% self-overflow up, as well as a 40% self-brave damage cap up. Emperor also got his BT Plus in this release, and his BT Plus right now, when targeting debuff enemy, provides a 100% party brave damage up, which is double of what he provided during his BT, which is only 50%. It also provides a 50% brave damage cap up, which is as compared to the 20% when you didn't BT plus him. And of course, he still have the 20% brave refund for every HP attack dealt. So his BT plus also improved the trap that he lands from his BT attack, which now does a 4 full AoE HP attack and delays all enemy by 2 turns instead of 1, and of course this is a ignore defense attack, which already was previously, so no changes in that. So Emperor essentially, like I said, doesn't look like he get a lot of rework on paper, but actually get a very decent amount of HP dumps in all of his attack, considering the fact that his HP attack release all those traps all together, so 3 additional HP attack for every trap release. And the best thing about his EX is still the fact that it's instant turn skill right now, so that's a very good way for Emperor to manage his own turn rate so that he can get all those HP plus to trigger the trap in. Emperor essentially is going to be a very nice character to play with. I always like using his character to trigger all those traps, but the only problem I have with Emperor is always his hunger for debuff slot, because each of the trap requires a debuff slot to be emptied so that he can land his trap properly. So with his EX landing 3 traps, and if you want his BT trap to land, which is gonna be the 4th trap, and of course he also lands a lot of debuff in his trap itself. So Emperor, if you're not applying frame debuff, Emperor is just gonna take up all the debuff slot right away. And if you're applying frame debuff on it with calls and characters from your party, you might want to leave at least 3 so that he can fully utilize his EX debuff. His BT trap, although it's very useful, it's not entirely needed since his HP attack doesn't actually trigger that BT trap. So at least leave 3 debuff for him to actually apply all of his trap attack. And you can actually run him with Laguna, because the way he works and the way with Laguna's trap work, they actually works really well together with the party team setup that you're going for. But the problem with Laguna is, like I said, he's very debuff hungry as well. So unless you can remove the passive from Laguna, it's still not the best judgment to run Emperor and Laguna together, because you never get a chance to actually apply Laguna's BT effect, since Laguna lands 4 of his debuff immediately upon appearing in the party. And if you land his BT, that's going to be 5, and there's only 3 more slot left for your Emperor. So if you're going to run Laguna Emperor, basically you're saying that you're not going to leave any debuff slot for any other characters. So you can see that how Emperor synergizes in that situation. Emperor doesn't work well, totally not good with units that take up a lot of debuff slot. Kefka is another one of the example. So Emperor, a good character to run with, but very debuff hungry, so be careful if you're running him in the party. Coming up next, we have Snow. Snow actually doesn't get a lot of rework in his kit. The only changes that he has is his LD for the rework, which makes very much sense, because he only get his rework very close before Crystal level 90 came, so his rework was already very viable. Snow is even viable right now, so this just doesn't, he's just not justifiable enough to give him a rework. He's already good. His LD now does a 3 full AoE HP attack, and with the Crystal level 90 upgrade, his EX now does a 4 single target HP attack with 50% splash, and recovers 1 usage of his skill 2. So I guess it's a pretty nice way to increase his longevity. His additional ability now does a 30% party attack up, a 10% party brave gain up, and a party HP regen based on 10% of the party's max HP. And right now, with this newest release, Snow does get his BT. So the BT is actually a very nice upgrade for Snow. It provides him a party-wide Ice Enchant, a 50% party brave damage up, a 20% party brave damage cap up, and 50%, it'll go up to 50% if you BT plus him, and a 30% party brave refund after each HP attack, and it goes up to 50% if you BT plus him. So this BT effect is actually what makes Snow so much hype going around Snow right now. But first, I would like to clarify the fact that he's by no means OP like what most people are trying to put him at. He's not as powerful as Garnet during her BT release, or even Ramza during his BT plus release. Snow, essentially, the idea behind Snow is that he can actually had the potential to break the max bravery ceiling, and hence breaking through the HP damage cap out that essentially every character should have. But this only applies on BT plus character, and only applies if the party setup have enough bravery gain. What I'm talking about is actually with the BT plus, you can use your BT plus finisher first before entering into your BT phase. And using your BT finisher actually allows you to retain that bravery after using that particularly HP attack. And since BT finisher always have a very high max bravery ceiling, so when that particular attack combined with Snow's BT effect with enough brave gain up, it can actually hold a very high amount of bravery even after you use your BT plus finisher. And as long as your brave gain aura from your party is high enough, you can actually hold on to that increased max bravery ceiling and break through the standard HP damage cap for every single HP attack that you dealt later down the line for the BT character, of course. For example, one of the very prime example is like Machina. When you use the BT finisher with Machina and he holds on to that amount of bravery from Snow's BT effect, and you re-enter the BT phase with Machina using all his HP attack, actually allows for every single HP dumps to be dealing the maximum damage from that amount of max bravery that you hold on to. So with this, Machina can potentially deal very devastating attack. Imagine every HP dump from Machina HP Plus is the amount of damage that he gets from his BT finisher. That is the amount of devastating damage and numbers that Snow can provide. However, although it sounds really good in paper, it's not the easiest way to execute that kind of crazy meme damage. Because, like I said before, it requires a very particular setup. You need a lot of Brave gain up in your party. So to potentially max out that BT effect, one of the very crucial unit that people always run him with is unit that have a lot of Brave gain up from their BT aura. For example, Y'shtola and of course Karen. And with Garnet now being in global, I'm pretty sure that Garnet will be included as one of the prime companion with Snow as well to maximize that BT effect. And if you're looking for LD only characters or LD calls or characters such as Ram also have a very good amount of Brave gain up. Steiner calls is another example. So all this character, the idea behind, like I said, to maximize the idea behind using Snow's BT effect is to have a lot of Brave gain up in your party and have a BT finisher to abuse that BT effect. But one of the reasons that you don't see a lot of these cases during Shinryu era is because the restriction for that Brave gain is so high that it's not very easy. It's a lot harder to execute this kind of meme damage. So yes, I would say Snow is really good. He can potentially dish out a lot of damage for your BT characters, but he's by no means OP as what other members actually hype him up as. That's my take on this particular character. Black Nero, Cross, and 40 already make a video about this character and about people overhyping him too much, and I'm actually with them on this part. So yep, Snow, a very good character, no doubt. I'll be BT plus him. But to really execute that amount of damage requires extensive team composition and some research. So if you want to go for him and if you would like for that damage to be potential for your damage dealer, check properly about what character you're going to run him with. Of course, if you're going to just use him normally, like if you're not trying to meme that amount of huge damage, units like Squall and Laguna that doesn't have any Brave refund in between their HP attack can actually benefit really well with this BT effect as well. So it actually helps a lot with running Snow in the party against units like those that I mentioned before. Those unit doesn't have any Brave gain in between HP attacks, so having Snows to retain a part of the bravery in between their HP dumps is actually very helpful. Alright, so now we gave a thorough explanation on the two characters, the two BT plus characters that we will be getting. I would now like to talk a little bit about the 6-Man Warrior quest. So 6-Man Warrior quest is going to be the new type of event that we'll be getting later down the line during Shinryu's era. Right now, this was the first 6-Man release for a beta test back then in JP. So what 6-Man actually is just like the name suggested. You're actually allowed to bring up to 6 characters to the stage itself. But how it works is actually quite different than usual. First of all, you have no support. You cannot bring any support unlike normal stages. And right now, for you to swap between characters is a little bit like Final Fantasy X battle mechanic, where you can choose your character, which specific character to swap out with which specific characters from the back row. So essentially, you'll be getting 3 from the front row and 3 at the back row, and you can freely swap anyone from the front row with the back row as long as it's on their turn. And for when they came in to the party, for you to swap them back up requires them to take at least 1 action. Even additional ability, which will grant them an immediate free turn, will also allow you to switch them back into the back row. So I'm just going to put it easy and say front row and back row. Okay, so the idea behind 6-man warrior is it's like you're having 3 additional call, but right now all those skills that doesn't work in the call can now work because they are not just a call, they're in the party itself. One of the very prime example is Selfie. Selfie's LD, as you all know, actually allows the enemy to be constantly launched, but with just a call itself, her ability is slightly nerfed. But with 6-man warrior, you can actually have her use that particular LD and then swap her back into the back row, and then you have that LD effect throughout the entire match as long as the enemy doesn't get any turn. And even if the enemy does get turn, you can always swap her back in and reapply that LD effect. So this Selfie is just one of those characters that is really good during this event because of how her utility works. Some other examples are actually Quistis. Quistis has that constant delay, so if you're not trying to let the enemy get any turn, having Quistis in as a party member within the 6-man warrior is actually really good. Quistis also has a free turn on her skill 2. So she can just swap in, use her skill 2 to delay the enemy and then swap her back out. So with that in mind, Quistis is also another valuable member if you have her to be run with in the 6-man warrior quest. Of course, there are a lot of other members you can go with. Laguna is also one of them because he can apply his BT grenade and then just swap him back out. You can run him as though he's a support to your party, where he just comes in, apply BT and then swap him back out. And then have the main DPS or the main aura bot in the party as the final 3 members. For example, in my run here, you can see that I'm running Luna Freya, Hope, and Anna Cross as the final 3 members of my party to dish out the maximum damage after all the utilities has been applied. Laguna, Selfie, and Quistis will be going into the back row after having done with their roles. So this 3 will be the end to finish the entire match. That is how I normally approach a 6-man warrior quest. You can of course approach in your own way by having you bringing some DPS or some utilities back and back. But this is 6-man warrior is actually a very interesting mechanic. But what makes this even better is that both the bosses that will be appearing in this 6-man warrior quest actually has different mechanics. For the first 6-man warrior quest that we will be getting, I'm pretty sure that one is actually resistant to magic attack and one is resistant to physical attack. But I'm not entirely sure, I have to check back. But they also have different orb condition, and the mechanics they will perform at HP threshold is also entirely different. So this is really interesting because it makes you work through your team to figure out the best way to approach the stage. Regardless, I really like 6-man warrior quests. I believe it's Square Enix way of compensating us through replacing boss rush, but I'm not really sure because we haven't been getting boss rush even in JP right now. So I hope they actually provide us both because both are fun in their own way. As for the two BT plus character that I mentioned beforehand, I will be BT plusing Snow in my main account because I want to run him with units that I have to provide that meme damage. I really want to try that. As for my alternate, since I have limited roster in there, Snow is not really going to be very useful. So I'm just going to try my luck and see whether I can get Emperor's BT in that account. And hopefully if I can, I'll BT plus Emperor since I have my staff Ultima weapon fully maxed out in that account. So it'll be really fun to actually have a magic AoE damage dealer in that account since I normally have all my AoE damage dealer in my main account with Squall, Strago and everyone else. As for the value of the banner itself, I will be discussing about it after I talk about Lise and Baltier. So what about you guys? Are you guys gonna BT plus any of these 2 characters? Let me know down in the comments below. Alright guys, thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed my video again, remember to subscribe to my channel and like the video as well. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.